The formation of the IRA effectively created a situation of dual power in Ireland. Clashes between IRA guerrillas and British soldiers and police units became more frequent. Churchill, rehabilitated after his demotion following the Dardanelles disaster, was Secretary of State for War during the Irish War of Independence 1919 to 1921. As in the previous bloodletting, he made a decision that would only embolden his adversaries. On the 25th of March 1920, he dispatched the notorious Black and Tans paramilitaries attached to the Royal Irish Constabulary (RIC), who served as a torture and death squad. Some months earlier, in October 1919, Churchill had denounced the IRA in strong language. It was a gang of squalid murderers, a criminal band that had till now avoided capture. He praised unreservedly the police and troops compelled to fight enemies who could not be easily identified because they could blend into the population without a trace, always a problem for imperial states confronting a popular resistance. He was especially angered by the leniency shown to hunger strikers who might get out of prison simply for refusing to take their food. Only one response was possible: England must do what it takes to break up this murder gang. Before too long, he was sitting opposite IRA leader Michael Collins, negotiating a truncated version of Irish independence. As has often been the case in Algeria, Vietnam, Cyprus, Kenya, India, etc., accelerated repression has the opposite effect to what was intended. It creates a huge reservoir of sympathy and support from which the resistance recruits new fighters. The Black and Tans and the auxiliaries, another death squad, also damaged Britain's reputation in the United States. Countless Irish Americans were brought up on stories of the Black and Tans atrocities in Ireland during the War of Independence. Joe Biden, by his own account, which for that reason might not be totally reliable, was among those who grew up, sentimentally at least, supporting the IRA. It should not, however, be forgotten that one-fifth of those who served in the various police and military outfits were Irish, another feature common to colonized countries. If anything symbolizes this period, it is an episode linked to the instructions given by a 34-year-old British officer, Lieutenant Colonel Gerald Smith, to the new recruits of the RIC. Smith was a veteran of the recent World War, as were many of the Black and Tans, so named for their uniforms, which were a mixture of RIC black and British khaki. The loss of an arm and the experience of the war itself had slightly unhinged him. Alcohol was a permanent palliative. One of the constables present reported him as saying, should the order "hands up" not be immediately obeyed, shoot, and shoot with effect. If the persons approaching a patrol carry their hands in their pockets or are in any way suspicious looking, shoot them down. You may make mistakes occasionally, and innocent persons may be shot, but that cannot be helped, and you are bound to get the right parties sometime. The more you shoot, the better I will like you, and I assure you, no policeman will get into trouble for shooting any man. Hunger strikers will be allowed to die in jail. The more the merrier. Some of them have died already, and a damn bad job, they were not all allowed to die. As a matter of fact, some of them have already been dealt with in a manner their friends will never hear about. An immigrant ship left an Irish port for a foreign port lately with lots of Sinn Feiners on board. I assure you, man, it will never land. That is nearly all I have to say to you. General Tudor and myself want your assistance in carrying out this scheme and wiping out Sinn Fein. Anyone who is prepared to be a hindrance rather than a help to us had better leave the job at once. To which Constable Jeremiah Me retorted, by your accent, I take it you are an Englishman, and, in your ignorance, forget that you are addressing Irishmen. Me then proceeded to shed parts of his uniform, laying his gun and bayonet neatly on a table, saying, these two are English. Take them as a present from me, and to hell with you. You are a murderer. Me was from County Sligo. When Smith ordered the others to arrest him, nobody moved. The room would run with blood, they said, if me were touched. 13 other constables resigned. The Listowel mutiny was the first sign of the resistance within. One of the constables present delivered a copy of Smith's remarks to Michael Collins, who sent it to Irish Republican brotherhoods throughout the land. Collins' own response: justice should be swift. Smith lasted less than a month. He was in the smoking room of an Anglo-Irish club in Cork on 17 July 1920 when an IRA unit entered. Dan O'Donovan looked him in the eye and said, Colonel, were not your orders to shoot on sight? You're inside now, so prepare. Smith was executed without further ado. Corporal Me joined the IRA in Sligo. Tensions rose to a level not seen since the rebellion of the United Irishmen. In December of that same year, the paramilitaries responded to an IRA ambush by burning Cork, causing massive damage, estimated at £2 million, and the loss of 2,000 jobs. And so it continued. The IRA became adepts at clandestine guerrilla warfare. As Diarmaid Ferriter writes, what cannot be contested was the formidable achievement of Michael Collins, a masterful organizer, in cultivating contacts throughout the government, but also turning some of the opposing players against their own side, and in killing detectives and intelligence officers and their agents in order to protect his own intelligence network. The damage, physical and psychological, done to civilians in Ireland should never be underestimated. Everyday life was war. Digging trenches for the IRA one day, filling them up again at gunpoint for the Black and Tans the next. Anti Catholic pogroms in Ulster became a regular occurrence. Ultimately, however, the British government realized that it could not win the war. Having privately agreed to partition the country, the British called a conference in London. Sinn Fein and the IRA, only too aware of the tragic dimensions of the conflict as far as their own people were concerned, and knowing that it was extremely difficult to defeat the British militarily, agreed to attend with Collins, their most popular warlord, the effective leader of the delegation. The official leader was the weak-kneed founder of Sinn Féin, Arthur Griffiths, who was completely taken in by Prime Minister Lloyd George leading the British delegation. De Valera, soon to be president of the Irish Republic, had refused to take part in the conference. He felt that an extra large egg, himself, should be kept out of the basket in case the treaty needed to be rejected. Others, whose presence would have been intellectually formidable, such as Roger Casement and James Connolly, had been executed by the British in 1916. It was, in political terms, a B team from Ireland confronting the British imperial state, determined to partition the island for sound imperialist reasons. Nobody should have been surprised by the result.